Hi again, F.F. Bruce, chapter 58 in the Hard Sayings of Jesus. Faith that removes mountains. The texts are Mark 11:23, Matthew 17, verse 20. Truly I say to you, whoever says to this mountain, be taken up and cast into the sea, does not doubt in his heart, but believes that what he says will come to pass, it will be done for him. This is Luke 17:6. If you had faith as a grain of mustard seed, you could say to the sycamore tree, be rooted up and be planted in the sea, and it would obey you. And Matthew 17:20. For truly I say to you, if you have faith as a grain of mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move hence to yonder place, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible to you. Of these sayings, or varieties of an original saying, emphasizing the limitless possibilities open to faith, Mark's form, followed in Matthew 21, verse 21, has a life setting in the neighborhood of Jerusalem during Holy Week. Luke's form may be from the Q collection, in which case the form in Matthew 17:20, an amplification of Jesus' words to the disciples after the healing of the epileptic boy at the foot of the Mountain of Transfiguration, combines features from Mark and from Q. Q, by the way, is the collection of sayings, the hypothetical collection of sayings that, as far as I know, we still haven't found, but people project were the basis of many of the quotations of Jesus in the Gospels, the Synoptics. In any case, Jesus illustrates the power of faith by analogies from the natural world. If faith is present at all, even if it is no bigger than a mustard seed, it can accomplish wonders. Think what a large plant springs from something as tiny as a mustard seed. We are not afraid when the earth heaves and mountains are hurled into the sea. So Psalm 46, verse 2 in the New English Bible describes a real or figurative convulsion of nature which leaves men and women of God unshaken because he is their refuge and strength. It may be that Jesus is using such a form of words figuratively to describe the incalculable effects of prevailing faith. But in Mark's account, there may be some more explicit point in the form of words. In that account, the words are addressed to the disciples after the incident of the cursing of the fig tree. There may not seem to be much to connect that incident with a lesson on the power of faith. The connection, however, may be provided by the place where, according to Mark, the words were spoken. They were spoken in the morning as Jesus and his disciples made their way from Bethany to Jerusalem, crossing the Mount of Olives. So in Mark's account, this mountain in the saying would be the Mount of Olives. Now, in current expectation regarding the time of the end, the Mount of Olives played a special part. It would be the scene of a violent earthquake on the day of the Lord. On that day, said one of the prophets, referring to the day when the God of Israel would take final action against the enemies of his people, his feet, that is the Lord's feet, shall stand on the Mount of Olives, which lies before Jerusalem on the east. And the Mount of Olives shall be split in two, from east to west, by a very great or very wide valley, so that one half of the mount shall withdraw northward, and the other half southward. That's, by the way, Zechariah 14, verse 4. If Jesus had this and related Old Testament prophecies in mind on his way across the Mount of Olives, his meaning might have been, and here's a paraphrase by Bruce, if you have sufficient faith in God, the day of the Lord will come sooner than you think. This suggestion, Bruce expresses his indebtedness to a work by Professor William Manson. We've made a video on this very passage in Zechariah, how the earthquake in Zechariah 14 shook two Jehovah's Witnesses out of the watchtower. That video, by the way, has to do with the surprise that's there for any Jehovah's Witness when you show him this text from Zechariah 14, 1-5. It is Jehovah's feet that will stand on the Mount of Olives when this earthquake strikes and the mountain splits. Check out the video. It's one of, I think, up at least 4 or 5 videos linked together. And put the first one on your screen. How an earthquake shook 2 Jehovah's Witnesses out of the watchtower. See you soon.